We're here with part two of why some men don't fear being rejected by women. Let's go through it.
Right? Where he then begins to feel that fear of being rejected by her, of her losing interest if he doesn't do everything that she says. And then she's going to leave him and so forth. He never gains control over the area of his life, which is women and relationships. He always feels helpless. He always feels like he doesn't have control over it. But there is a way to conquer that fear and gain control. And one way to understand it is to look at the different reasons why some men don't ever overcome their fear of rejection. So the first one I have here is his fear is based on a few real experiences that didn't go well or what he thinks will happen if he tries.
So, like I said already, most women are going to reject you. Over half of them are going to be in a relationship or some kind of thing going with some guy, or maybe even a woman. Maybe they're bi or whatever. Or maybe they're a lesbian, right? Like, you got to think the majority of women are going to reject anybody. Rejection is going to happen. Why do you have fear based off of a rejection? Like, as a man, right? As a man, by the time you're 25, you should have asked out 300 women face to face and another 1,000 women online. Because how else are you going to develop confidence in Riz, right? Even at 300 women face to face, that sounds like a lot, right? The thing is, most of the time, you're going to get rejected. So, mathematically, when you break that down, 300 women, let's say from the time you're 15 to the time you're 25, your main dating life, right? Because you're going to encounter women who are within arm's reach distance from you physically, right? Where they are very attractive. They're a woman you would go out with. It's going to happen far more than 300 times. So while you're there, may as well ask them out. A lot of these women you'll never see in your life again, right? Now, if you go to the same school, you'll encounter them again, but maybe you won't. Right? So you may as well go for it. Most women that I've ever gone to school with at any stage of school, after I left that school, never saw them again. The huge majority, right? So, all right, 300 women, that sounds like a lot. It isn't, right? Let's say across 10 years, which has 87,600 hours. 87,600 hours. If you were to ask out 300 women face to face, it would take you 2 hours. Because when you're asking them out, it's going to be when you're just kind of stumble upon them, right? You're just already through, whether you're at some kind of event, at your school, at your wherever, right? I guarantee you're encountering far more than 300 women you'd like to go on a date with. So, these interactions are quick. Most times you're going to get rejected. So, most of these interactions are going to be like 10 seconds long. Let's say some of them are positive, some of them are, there's a little bit back and forth. So, that's kind of, if you average each interaction out to 25 seconds, right? Because most of them are going to be lightning fast rejections and you're going to move on. So it's not going to take up much of your time at all. And you need to develop these skills, guys, because how else are you going to learn how to do it? How else are you going to gain confidence? How else are you going to know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and improve and get good at it? How else are you going to develop Riz if you never even try? So, what interactions have you had to even build this fear? What is this fear based off of? A few real life experiences? Oh my God, you're guaranteed to get... If you ask out 100 women, the first 100 women you ask out, 98% of them are going to decline you. No matter who you are. So why would you care?
he may have had some bad experiences when trying to talk to girls at school or at university or when he grew up and went to work and so forth. Whatever stage he is at life.
Even if a woman is ugh, basically, even if they call you unattractive, right? Even if it was like disastrously bad, they're like, oh my god, no, I'll never go out with you. Who cares? Other women will. Other women will find you attractive. Especially because at some point in your life, as a man, you should develop confidence and riz, which is the thing that women are more attracted to than anything else on the planet. So maybe this girl doesn't want to go out with you. Maybe this next girl doesn't want to go out with you. Maybe the next 90 don't want to go out with you. That's fine. That's normal. That's okay. Eventually, some will. There are women out there who want to go out with you, who will go out with you. It will happen. But it's demented. It's just flat out dumb to give up on the first, like, few. That's craziness. Like, that's just completely mathematically incompetent. Illogical.
He has had some experiences that didn't go well. So he then thinks, well, look, I've tried to talk to girls and make something happen, but I got rejected that time. You know, she said this to me, or she turned away, or she seemed like she was not interested or even disgusted by me, or something like that. Women don't like me, right? If I try again, they're going to give me that look, and then I'm going to feel horrible about myself. So he bases his fear on some experiences, whether it's one or two or a few.
And it makes a lot of sense that you wouldn't have that confidence. When you haven't asked out very many women, you're feeling incredibly nervous and overwhelmed, concerned, right? Like, that kind of makes sense that you would feel that way. But you got to understand, you haven't developed riz. You haven't developed confidence. So you are reeking of desperation. Your lack of confidence is written all over you. So the likelihood of you getting rejected is way higher than it should be. Because you haven't developed this confidence. Because you haven't done your job yet to make yourself attractive to women. You haven't done your work yet, right? It's like you went off to war, but you didn't do the basic training, and you're refusing to do the basic training. You got to do that basic training, right? You're trying to wing it super hard. You're trying to skip several steps, and you're just totally winging it. Why do you think you are just allowed to wing it? You're not. I'm sorry, but you have to go through the same, like, trials and tribulations that every other man on the planet has gone through.
That haven't gone well. Or he bases his fear of rejection on what he thinks will happen if he tries. So that happens for a lot of guys who watch TV, watch movies, watch music videos, or just overhear women talking, right? And they have seen in TV shows and movies guys get rejected. They've seen music videos where women are acting really tough and independent and so forth, and they've overheard women say, oh, I hate it when men do this, or this guy said that, and this guy said this, and so forth. And he's thinking, geez, women are vicious, right? If I try, I'm going to get horribly rejected.
Well, if a guy watches shows and movies or whatever and is basing, first of all, you shouldn't, no matter who you are, be basing real life stuff off of that to begin with. But even if you are, in movies and shows, if anything, asking somebody out typically goes well, right? Even in things where, like, the guy gets rejected, it's usually because it ends up the girl he should have been with was right there the whole time, right? Indicating that, like, hey, maybe you're asking out the wrong people, and you're definitely not asking out enough people. Like, the character, the guy in those shows or whatever, it's usually a part of the plot is that he's focused on the wrong woman. He's focusing entirely on the wrong woman and overlooking all these other awesome women. Put the pieces together, men. You're not asking out enough women. You're hung up on, like, one specific woman. You're obsessing over one specific woman when really there's tons and tons and tons of great women out there, right? Just like there's tons of great guys, there's tons of great women. You should never be hung up on one. Ever, 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 ever. Come on. I'll see you in the next part. This is part 2. See you part 3.